Good morning, everybody, and welcome to late March in Ontario. There's always at least one good late season snow dump, and let's hope this is it today. Well, right now, I want to do some MPG testing. I've got the 2020 Ram Rebel, and it's hooked up to our big 4-place snowmobile trailer back there, and I'm going to take it right now, and we're going to hit the highway, and we're going to see how the 3-liter EcoDiesel under the hood does. Now, I also did an unloaded MPG run, so we'll be able to compare how this truck does with a load and without, and then, of course, I'll tell you how it drives. So, what are we waiting for? Let's go. Alright folks, just pulled out with the trailer on, but actually right now I'm gonna throw it back because I did my empty fuel economy loop yesterday. So let's cut back to that loop and then we'll cut back to this loop. Go for it. So there was the first click. Now we wait 30 seconds, make sure all the fuel gets nice and settled in the tank, out of the filler neck, and then we go again until we get the next click, and that's how we try to keep these fuel economy tests consistent. No, it's not perfect science, but I feel like it's pretty close and it'll give you a good sense for the fuel economy on this thing. That's about 30, let's do it. And boom, now let's get inside, zero it out, and hit the highway. Okay, we've got a full tank of diesel now, and let's go ahead and see. First of all, we got 521 miles of range, it says, on this full tank. And back down to fuel economy, we're gonna zero out trip B. Boom, right there. Now, I do want to show you guys something that's kind of cool. It's a bit of an Easter egg. So over here on the main screen, this big 12-inch screen, you can change the units. So of course, right now I've got them in US units, but I can go over here and go back over to metric. And this is a Canadian truck. So that brings us, let's just see what our range is, 841 kilometers. Here's what I want you to watch though. Watch the odometer. This is almost like a little Easter egg when I change the units. Watch. I don't know how obvious this is from this video, but guys, that's not a physical little dial. That's a screen right there. So you know what? Ram actually took the time to say, hey, when you change the units, make the odometer flip through like a real classic odometer. That's a little tiny little detail, but I think that's pretty cool. Anyways, we've been sitting here long enough. The trip's all zeroed out. Let's go ahead and see what kind of fuel economy we get out of this EcoD. Let's do it.
Do you guys love trucks? If so, we've got a new podcast that will keep you entertained for hours, from on-road to off-road, from Raptors to Frontiers to Tacomas. Check out tfltruck.com/podcast or go to wherever you get your favorite podcast, including Google Podcasts, iTunes, and Spotify.
All right, everybody, just pulling out of the gas station right now. So we've got the truck in 2-wheel drive. We're not doing this in 4-wheel. I want to get the best fuel economy possible. We are going to go directly to the highway, so there'll be a little bit of city driving, mostly highway though. Once we get there, we will stick the truck at about 110 kilometers an hour. That's, I think it's about 67 miles per hour. And we will let it cruise down the highway and see what kind of fuel economy we get. Now, keep in mind that this truck with the EcoDiesel, this is the most efficient half-ton on the market. With 2-wheel drive, the most efficient version actually gets 32 MPG on the highway. With 4-wheel drive, our numbers aren't quite as good. I'll throw up the comparison right here so you can see both trucks. But even still, this is some really impressive fuel economy out of this diesel. And now let's go hit the highway and see how it does in the real world. Time to merge onto the highway now, guys, and I just want to see how the power feels here. And this is actually quite a short little baby on-ramp getting onto the 400 south. So we'll see how quickly she can accelerate and merge us safely. Okay, everybody, let's go, let's go. Got a couple cars in front of me. Oh, we got some space back there, nice. So let's pick up speed now, and man, so the thing that's really standing out to me about this EcoDiesel is just the smoothness of it. Smooth acceleration, silky smooth shifts. Everything about it is so smooth and quiet and calm. And the last gen EcoDiesel was sort of like this, but it definitely seemed to like to sort of rev up a little quicker, and it made a little bit more noise, and the shifts were a little rougher. So everything about this next gen EcoDiesel just really seems to be refined to that next level. And you can hear that it's a diesel, but you really can't feel that it's a diesel, and that's an impressive thing. All right, guys, pulling up to the gas pump right now. Just did a tiny bit over 100 kilometers, and wow, the fuel economy here is really impressive. Let me show you on the big camera. So after 100 kilometers, we managed 9.4 liters per 100K. That's super impressive for a half-ton pickup. Now I'll change the units for all my US folks. Boom. That is 24.9 MPG over 62.9 miles. Pretty dang impressive. That's really not special driving. It's doing a little bit over the speed limit. Yeah, this EcoDiesel, guys, really doesn't burn a lot. But now let's get out and fill it up, and we'll see what our math says. Now let's figure this out ourselves. So we used a total of 8.66 liters of fuel. We go ahead and divide that by the distance, which is 101.2, and then multiply by 100 to move our decimal over. And let me show you the calculator. That gives us 8.55, guys. That's 8.5 liters per 100. This is actually saying we got a full liter per 100 better than what the trip computer is saying. That's seriously impressive fuel economy. And in the US, that's good for 27.6 MPG. That's seriously good fuel economy. So if fuel economy is your top concern, but you still need a truck with torque and that can go off-road, this Ram Rebel is a pretty serious contender. And we're back, everybody, and the trailer is back there, and we are merging onto the highway now. Now I've got 2 sleds in that trailer, so my total weight back there behind me is probably maybe about 4,000 pounds. Not a bad weight, certainly, for this EcoDiesel. This truck definitely feels it. It did squat down a decent amount when I dropped it on, and now let's accelerate. Hold on, let's see how she feels. Oof, got a little squirrely there. I am in 2-wheel drive, and it is snowing out here today, and that shows you the torque once again. Now when I put my foot into it in 2-wheel drive, even with the trailer on, the rear end actually wanted to start getting a little slippery. Now of course I realize it's because it's so wet out here, but again, that does prove to you how much torque there is here. And here we are up to highway speed, 60 miles an hour, and it's really just effortless power. I think that's the best way to describe it. And after driving this truck now for a few days, I've really got a sense for the power. So first of all, this is something I'm very confident in. This EcoDiesel, the 2nd gen, it doesn't have the off-the-line punch that the 1st gen had. The original EcoDiesel really did have that push you back in your seat feeling, and this engine never quite gets there. And I think it is probably because of the emissions issues that FCA dealt with. So if you don't know, I'll give you the quick backstory. FCA was selling the EcoDiesel until the EPA called them out, and the EPA said you are essentially using software on that diesel, which is illegal. It's allowing it to pollute too much. Now, FCA took exception to that. They said they weren't doing it. Eventually, the EPA won. Now, FCA never really admitted guilt. They never said they were using software that was illegal. They basically just said, okay, we see where you're coming from, we'll change it up. So then, they recalled every EcoDiesel to change up the ECU tuning, and I've driven one of those trucks personally, and let me tell you that they absolutely dulled the throttle response, especially when that truck is cold. So their fix to essentially help the truck not put out heavy emissions was to dull the throttle response when it was cold, and that's what I'm feeling here. It's just, you know, the pedal isn't quite as lively as it initially was when the EcoDiesel came out. So I think that when they went through that process with the EPA, they obviously learned that their initial tuning was, you know, a little bit too rich. It was just giving you a little bit too much power, and they dialed it back just a hair. This engine though has way more torque, right? 480 pound-feet in this second generation. So now here's the interesting part. I don't want to say that it's not powerful, because getting that trailer up to speed, it was effortless. I said that, I'm gonna say it again, effortless. That is the key with a good torquey diesel. You don't have to bury your foot into it to really get the revs up. It doesn't feel actually like it's working any harder than it would if nothing was on the back. That's exactly what you want, and that's exactly what this EcoDiesel is delivering. So sort of overall off the line empty power, it's just not quite as aggressive as it used to be, but then you put a load on, and the ease with which this engine got this trailer moving is really impressive. So for lots of towing, the EcoDiesel will definitely be your friend. It's not the engine that will let you down in this combo when it comes to towing, it's the suspension. So the Rebel here has the Bilstein shocks. Now what that means is when you go off-road, they're a little more pliable, they're allowing you to kind of soak stuff up a little bit better, and then the issue becomes when you do load them up with weight like I have now, the truck isn't sketchy, it is confident. I'm doing 65 miles per hour right now with one hand on the wheel, so I'm certainly not worried about anything, but there is some wishy-washy feeling to the way this truck tows, and that has to do with the suspension. You can sort of feel the nosedive when you hit the brakes. It's a little bit wavy like that. When you hit the gas, you feel it come up. So yeah, there's definitely a trade-off here. Going for the Rebel is gonna help you off-road, but it's not gonna help when you're towing a trailer. However, once again, I don't want to say it's a bad truck for towing. It's absolutely not. And with something like this, for even 5,000 pounds, this Rebel is gonna tow it confidently all day long. If you absolutely want to max tow Ram 1500 though, you probably don't want to get a Rebel. The one thing I'm noticing, which is interesting, is in tow haul mode right now on the highway, I'm in 7th. This is an 8-speed automatic, but the truck will not get up into that top overdrive gear. It sticks it out in 7th gears. And you can see in this shot here, when we were running on the highway in 7th gear, it was up over 2,000 RPM, whereas running in 8th gear, it's under 2,000 RPM. So I really do think that was the deciding factor. That comes along with tow haul mode, but also just with having weight on the back. That's how the transmission wants to act. And now, like I did empty, let me talk to you about this fuel economy test really quickly. So once again, it's not the exact same day. The weather is not great right now. It is snowing on me. It's 1 degree Celsius, so the temperature is actually basically the same as it was when I did my other test, but the roads aren't the same. Now, the other test was mostly highway, so this one will also be mostly highway. I'm actually on the 401 right now, and you know what? I'm gonna do my best to put in around 80 kilometers probably on the highway, and then the other 20 will be city driving, getting back to the gas station. And yeah, once again, I'm really curious to see how this thing does. Towing MPG should be a place where this EcoDiesel shines, but that remains to be seen. And we're back at the gas station. Here are the totals. We did 116.7 kilometers and average 19.7 liters per 100. So this thing takes a pretty serious hit when you hook up a trailer like this. Now we'll go ahead and switch the units over to US, and then I'll show you once again. This is 11.9 MPG. It's doing 72 miles. So yeah, guys, this thing really took a hit with this trailer. It's not that windy out here today, but it is, you know, a big trailer that definitely catches the wind, so aerodynamics plays a role here. But I gotta tell you, I'm a little surprised that that's the number. But now let's go do the math ourselves, and like it when it was empty, maybe when we do the math, it'll be a little bit better than what the computer says. Let's do it. Okay, everybody, let's go ahead and do the math ourselves. So we look down here on the receipt, and you can see we used 23.949 liters of diesel, and and we traveled a total of 116.7 kilometers. So we divide those two numbers, and then you go ahead and multiply by 100, bringing us to a total of 20.52 liters per 100 kilometers. And let me remind you guys, the computer said that we were getting 19.9 liters per 100 kilometers. So we're actually getting slightly worse fuel economy, according to our math, than the computer, which is pretty surprising considering that when we just did this empty, it was the other way around. But that goes to show you that the fuel economy when you're running with the trailer really does get affected quite a bit. And right now, I just want to show you guys what that converts over to. So basically the same, 11.644 US MPG. Almost home now, everybody. What have we learned after driving this Rebel? Well, first of all, very easy to meet or exceed the EPA ratings when this truck is empty. When you are cruising out there on the highway, very calm, comfortable, quiet truck. Head off-road, and the suspension is going to take care of you, not beat you up too bad. And then these Duratracks are really going to help to make sure they pull you through whatever you jump into. Power delivery has changed, yes. It's not the aggressive gut punch it was before, but now it is this smooth, confident, effortless power that, again, you don't feel like you have to drive this truck any differently once you hook the trailer up, which is really saying something for all of this diesel torque. So guys, that's it for this video. Why don't you go below, let me know what you think of the new EcoDiesel and the new Rebel, and while you're down there, don't forget to hit like, hit subscribe, and then come right back to the channel as we keep bringing you the latest news, views, and real world reviews.